see, is that here? Okay, homework 2-1. Starting with number 3. Okay, so let's blow that sucker up. Ooh, that looks like it's getting worse. All right. So Martin is an author. He has no income to report on line A1 or on line, 1A or line 1B of his Schedule SE. What does that give us? Self-employment. So if you click the link, it takes you to the self-employment tax form here, kindly provided to us from the IRS. Cool. Oh, and they have this lovely flow chart. Look at that. That's awesome. All right. He earned $143,380 in 2010 from his books, and he had $3,563 in expenses. How much self-employment tax does he owe? So I'm going to open this image in a new tab, so hopefully I can see it better. Blow it up a little more. Okay, so let's copy that and scribble on it. Copy. All right, so what do we got here? We've got, let's see, I got a different version here. Is that the same numbers? Same numbers. Do we have, you have the same, everyone have the same numbers on this one, I think.
Okay.
Good. That makes it easier. Okay, so nothing on line 1A, which is net farm profit and stuff. So security stuff, nothing. Okay. What's next? Net profit or loss from Schedule C. Combine lines from AB of 2 multiplied by 92%. Self-employment tax deduct 1/2 of self-employment tax. Okay, so.
That's what threw me off because there was nothing online one here, one piece, and I was like,
right, yeah, so 2 he earned from his book. So net profit. Yeah, so money he earned from his books must be his net profit. So that's going to be $143,380. All right, and then 3, combine lines 1A, 1B, and 2. Subtract from the total amount on 1040 form 1040, line 29. Okay. Let's see. Do we need that other one? So that's this, just part of this same form, right? Oh yeah, that's this part right here. Okay. And then we do not need this second part here. All right. Yeah, so it's just a screenshot of this part right here. Okay. Back here and here. So on this line, we're just going to combine those 3. So we still have color 143 380. A comment in there to make it easier to read. And then we need to multiply that line where does his expenses fall in here? Self-employment tax, deductions.
I wasn't sure. I know my laws, like, are the expenses his deductions?
I think we might need that 1040 form too. So that was on our worksheet. So if you get your worksheet out, turn to page 1 of that. Yeah, bring that up in a new tab here.
But maybe his expenses or his deductions, because you know, like sometimes.
Yeah, you can deduct your expenses, right? Where are we? 2-1 worksheets. There you are. All right, so that's not, they refer to what, line 29, which we don't have on this one right here. And they're referring to 1040, not the 1040 EZ. Seems like we're missing some information. Yeah, I don't think I gave us enough information for this problem. Well, that's a bummer. All right, what information would we need? We don't have, I don't think it's going to be on this form here, because this is which one? Oh, this is form 1040, okay. Oh, but the self-employment version of 1040, got it, okay. And there's not a line 29. Well, that's not helpful. See, SE3.
Do you have like access to the answer? Could we back math it, find out how we got it?
Yeah, I can look up the code for it, but I want to see if I can figure it out by looking at the sheet first. I want to do it the hard way first. Huh. Let's see here.
I guess would be they just deduct the deductions, minuses from their totals.
Yeah, you would think you would just take out the expenses. But it doesn't show that anywhere on here. I don't see expenses on here anywhere. Let's see here. Control F. Can we search this? Wages. Okay, good. We can search this form. Let's. What are we looking for? Expenses. Yeah. Deductions. Let's spell deductions. Deduction occurs where? Right here. Deduct 1/2 of self-employment tax. Deductions for 1/2 of self-employment tax. And I don't see anything about expenses. All right, well, I'll just regrade everybody's correct until I figure out what I meant this to be. All right, well, let's guess at it. All right, so my guess, I think some of you said the same thing, we should probably take off his expenses from that. And then, let's see, there's that picture. Multiply line 3 by 92%. If less than 400, you do not owe any tax. If line 4 is less than 400, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Okay, self-employment tax. If the amount on line 4 is less than 106,000, multiply by 15.3%. If it's more than 106,000, multiply by 2.9%, and then add on. Okay. All right, so here's the way I would recommend we do this. So help me out with some numbers here. We've got his profit, I guess we'll call it. Of 143,380. And then he has some expenses. I'm thinking we should take those off. So what are his expenses?
3,563.
Okay, so we'll do that subtraction. Anybody with a calculator handy?
1398.17.
1398.17. Okay, so this is the amount of money that we're going to base his self-employment tax on. So the next step in the self-employment tax, according to that form, is to multiply that by 92.35%. So they're not going to tax us on the whole amount, they're only going to tax us on part of it. Come on. Sorry, I can't pick the color I want. So now we have to take 92.35% of that, so 9235?
Yeah.
So calculators, come on. 9235 times that new amount, 139,817. What does that give us?
$130,379.
Anyone else get that number?
No, that doesn't sound right.
It looks right to me.
Does it?
It's in the ballpark.
Got 129,100.
Yeah, I got 129,000. Anybody else? 129. Okay. All right. So you got a slight typo there somewhere, Robert.
Shit.
All right. So what was that again? 129,000.
120. 129, 120.
120. Okay. All right. So this is the amount that he is taxed on.
Oh, switched my number.
So this is his taxable income, I guess we'll call it. All right, so once we have the taxable income, we move down to the next part of the form. So let's look at that. So let's see, we are on line 4 here of the short SE form. So now, if it's less than 106,000, he pays 15.3%. If it's more than 106,000, he pays 2.9% plus 13,000. Which one are we doing? Is he more than 106? Yeah. So we're going to do, he has to pay 2.9% plus an additional 13,234.20. All right. So let's put that on our worksheet here. I'm going to shrink this a little so I can fit it all. Let's shift this up a little. Shrink it just a little. Okay. Red, I want black. Black, there you go. All right, so the next step, so let's break this up into pieces. That was our first step. This was our second step. Our next step is what we want, 2.9%, is that what it said? So 0.029, all right, yeah, times our taxable income, which is the 129,120, and then we have to add on to that 13,234.20. And that's going to give us some new number. Whip out your calculators, please. Get a calculator for me open here and another screen. All right, so we've got 0.029 times 129,120 plus 13,234.2. I get he owes $16,978.68. Anyone else get that? I got one head shake.
Not very much for as much money as he's making.
Yeah, so we'll figure out what his total tax percentage is in a minute, but so let me write that down. So I'm pretty sure that this is equal to $16,000. What's the rest of it? 978. How many cents? 68 cents is what he owes. Oh, stop it. So this is now the tax, oops, that's an X, owed. And let's plug it in, see what happens. Will I get a yay or a nay from the computer? You got a yay? All right. Woo, we did it. Somebody owes me a beer. Oh, no, I don't drink beer. Soda, coffee, chocolate. All right, 16,000, help me out, 687? No, 978, 68? Oh, I got that part right. Submit. Whew. All right. Next. It is $16,978.68. All right, moving on to number 4. Which of the following expressions can be used to compute how we just did that? Okay, here's the fun. So we have it broken down by steps, right? So our first step was to take off his expenses. So remember the other day when we were, the last couple of days when we were putting these things together, anytime we did it in steps, when we brought it back into a formula, we always had parentheses involved. So essentially, what we have here is a parentheses around that subtraction, and then we get to multiply. And then we'll have another multiplication followed by an addition. So let's see which one of those most resembles what we just did. And likely on each of our homework, these are going to be shuffled maybe in a different order. All right, so I'm looking for, okay, so this one looks good. It's got the income minus the expenses. Then it's multiplied by 92%. Ooh, but then they're adding 2.9%. That doesn't make any sense. So this one's out. This one down here, first order of operations, we have to do what's inside the parentheses. Then multiply by this percent. Then we multiplied by that percent. And then we added on the 13,000. I think that works right there. Okay, so I'm just going to double check this by typing that into a calculator and seeing if it works. I'm going to pop this out, slide it over here so I can see it. Uh-oh, maybe I won't be able to see it. Oh, I can still see it. All right, Google Calculator, shrink you down. I'm on Google Calculator. All right, so you got, oh, come on. Try this with me, please. Whip out your calculators. Oh. All right, I'm gonna get this right, I swear it. Slide, slide, slide. Got it, okay. And then I'm gonna have to shrink this down a touch, Control minus, all right. All right, so what do we have? Is it showing the whole thing? Not quite. It mostly shows it right there. All right, so clear. So I'm typing it as I see it on this calculator, 0.029 times 0.9235 times parentheses 143,380 minus 3563. Close the parentheses and then add 13,243. What was that? 20 or 20? Yeah, 0.20 equals $16,987.70. It's close. I must have had a rounding error on my other one, but that's in the ballpark of what we did earlier, isn't it? Yeah, okay, so that looks like it should be the right one. Let's double check by ruling out other ones. This one is definitely out because they're adding a percentage. You don't add a percentage, you multiply first, right? So this third one's out. What's wrong with this one here? Yeah, this addition here has to happen at the very end, and they're throwing it inside the parentheses, which means they're making it happen first, which that's not right. And let's see, what's wrong with this one right here? Yeah, the subtraction's in the wrong spot. Here, they're multiplying all the percentages by his gross income and then taking off his expenses. Wrong order of operations, right? This subtraction has to be in parentheses. Yeah, so the top three got to be wrong. That one's got to be right. And we tried it and it didn't work. So if these things, you look at them and you're like mind blown, plug each one in your calculator and see which one matches the previous answer. All right, and that should help. Check it out. Better get this right. Whew, got it right. Okay, we're flying. Number 5. The expression below shows another way to calculate Martin's tax. Based on this expression, select the statement that describes how Martin's income is taxed. Okay, so here they're saying take 15.3% of 106,800 and then add on 2.9% of his, this was his taxable income, minus the 106. Now, does that look familiar? Have we done stuff like that before? Yeah, that's the tax bracket stuff we did before. And so what this says right here to me is that the first 106,000 he pays 15% on. Anything he makes after that, he only pays 2.9%, right? Because this is the excess over that. So does one of these state that? He's not paying 44%. I don't know where the hell they get that one. That's a crazy one. Martin pays 15% on the first 106,000, and he pays 2.9 on his income over. Yeah, I think it's the second one, isn't it? For me, yours might be in a different order. Martin pays 15% on his first 106. He pays 29%. What? Is he paying 29% or 2.9%? Yeah, so it's this one up here. And this one says he pays 15.59. I think they probably added those two together. That's not true. That doesn't work either. Yeah, it's this second one for me. So he's paying 15% on the first 106,000, and anything over that he only pays 2.9% on. Okay, submit. Ooh, I got it right. So I want to go back and double check something. If we look at his taxable income, that's the 129,120 versus the amount of tax he ultimately paid. Is he going to end up paying more or less than 15% in the end? Is it a lot more or a lot less? The only way to really figure that out is to take the 16,000 and divide by the 129,000. So whip out your calculators right now. Take the 16,978 and divide by the 129,120. I'm going to do that on my calculator off to the side here so I can see it clear. So take the 16,978.68 and divide by 129,120. Is that right? Yeah. So he's paying about 13% total. Interesting.
About 3 times less than what he should actually pay in real life or something. Tax isn't that low.
That is pretty low for someone that makes over 100,000.
That's not.
Yeah.
It should be up around 38 to 42.
Huh.
For a single person.
Yeah, self-employment. Yeah, I know my brother runs a construction company. He does self-employment tax all the time, and it's way more than this.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, once you're single and you go over 125,000, it jumps.
Not the whole tax, but that bracket, the second, the excess tax jumps. Yeah. Speaking of which, did you hear there's a new tax bill that may or may not get passed in the near future? And I'm going to look it up and I'll report back to you next week on it. But it sounds like most of us normal people will pay slightly less tax than we used to. We'll see. Companies will pay a lot less tax. That seems pretty clear. But I'm not sure on that either. I'll have to look it up and check. Okay, let's move on. So let's see, number 5. Number 6. All right, so Miguel is moving and wants to estimate his electricity bill. He looks at his old bill and sees he uses around 700 kilowatt hours. So that's what kWh stands for, kilowatt hour. And watts are a measure of power. Utility company charges $6 a month plus 6.726 cents for the first 500 kilowatts and then 8 cents roughly for any kilowatts above that. Okay, so we want to figure out that statement right there. So let's do it. New page, new screenshot. Come on, screenshot, where are you? There you are. So I'm just going to grab this paragraph here. So since we're going to be starting doing more algebra in this class, I'm going to try and rewrite this as an algebraic statement. And then we'll plug in his number into it and see what happens. All right. So no matter what, somebody has to pay $6. And then we have to add some stuff on. So for the first 500 watts, they have to pay 6 cents. Now, that's a problem because usually we work in dollars. So I'm going to have to convert that to dollars, which means I have to divide by 100. So it's kind of like a percentage. So that's going to be 0.06726 as a dollar amount. Right? So remember, a cent is 6/100ths of a dollar. So there's that 6 in the hundreds position. Now, assuming that they use over 500 kilowatts, then I'm going to have to multiply by 500 kilowatts next. And then I have to add on to this 8 cents. What's 8 cents going to look like in dollars? 0.08, blah, 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 right? So I'm going to write the dollar sign in there for now. 0.08136 times anything they use above that. So what do I write next, do you think? What's that?
Subtract.
I got to do a subtraction, and the subtraction is going to have to be in parentheses because we got to subtract and then multiply. So I'm going to put an X here for now, where X is going to be the number of kilowatts somebody uses. Kilowatt hours, sorry. And so we have to take away 500 because I only want 8 cents is only on anything we use over that. Okay, so that would be an algebraic formula for this, which we could clean up, but we don't need to. So what we need to do is whip out our calculators right now and see what happens if we put a 700 in there for X. All right, so I'm going to try it on mine. You guys try it on yours. This one, we probably have different numbers. Yay or nay? Do you have the same numbers on yours? You have exactly the same numbers? Okay. Yeah. The cents are different or the same?
Oh, wait, no, he's zero. Yeah, they're different.
They're a little bit different. Okay. So, but the procedure is the same. You just have slightly different numbers. Okay. So I'm going to take 6 plus 0.06726 times 500 plus 0.08136 times parentheses 700 minus 500 equals, I'm getting he pays about $55.92 when I type that in exactly as I had it written there. Or sorry, $55.90, really, that 0.2 of a cent is not going to amount to anything. So we had a few questions to answer here. Let's see, what were they? Where is that sheet? There you are. Okay, what was it again? No, I forgot. 55.90. So this should be 55.9. Oh. All right, so here they're trying to say, hey, you might make a mistake here. We're going to try and fix it down here. If someone bought 3 items for $1.50, 37 cents, and 5 cents, how much would they spend? Well, 37 cents is really 0.37, right? So they're kind of reminding us here, did you adjust the decimal point from cents to dollars, right? And we realized that ahead of time. So let's see, how much would they spend here? 50, 60, 70, 80, 92, 192 in dollars. Which of the following is most likely the error for part B? Forgetting to change cents to dollars. Leaving off the decimal. Whoa, that's weird. making an addition error. I would say it's this one here, forgetting to change cents to dollars. Submit, and I got them right. Yeah, so the big thing here is just, noticing that that's cents, but we got to convert it to dollars, not getting mixed up by that right there. So yours will be pretty similar with slightly different numbers probably. All right, and then number 7 was my favorite. This is the one I made that spreadsheet for. And Emily, you said you had a hard time seeing my spreadsheet at the same time you were looking at this, right?
Yeah, I think it's because I was like just trying to open it. If I had like gone to a different.
You got to do it in a new tab. Yeah, so for example, I got the homework here, and suppose you realize, oh yeah, Gary shared his spreadsheet. The way I would get my spreadsheet up here is I would point to home, I would right click it and say open in a new tab, please. And then from there, I can bring up my spreadsheet and I can go back and forth between them. So I'm going to bring up my spreadsheet. So now as far as the spreadsheet goes, I think if I open it in an incognito window, you guys get it in view only mode unless you're signed in. I think if you're signed in, you can probably see it. Let's try. Got it. And, ooh, it's editable? Did anyone try opening my spreadsheet? Nobody? I went to all this trouble and nobody opened it? You guys are breaking my heart. Come on. Didn't mean the world should be able to edit it. That's dangerous. Okay, so I'm going to try to do this problem with spreadsheets. So here's my homework back here. So let's see, what do we got here? What tax rate does everyone pay on the first 8,500? Yeah, according to the table above, it's 10%, so I just type in my 10. Yeah, so that part's pretty straightforward. Yeah, we start off slow. Okay, calculate the income tax for a person that earns 25,000. 25,000 puts them in this category right here, the second one. So we have to turn this into a calculation. So it's going to be 850 plus the excess over 8,500 times 15% is what we need to calculate. So I'm going to go over to my spreadsheet and see if it will do that for me. Where'd my spreadsheet go? I lost it somewhere. There it is. Yeah, you have to find the difference. Yeah. So here, if I say the taxable income is 25,000, on the first 8,500, we're going to have 10%, which is 850. And then the next part, I can write a formula where I take my 25,000 here, so equals 25,000 minus the 8,500, and that's what I'm going to pay the 15% tax on. So equals this number times the 15%. And then here, I use that sum formula that I can get to add the two numbers above. And you can do this on a regular calculator. I'm just going to encourage you guys as often as possible to use a spreadsheet. So $3,325 is what I get for mine. If you have the same numbers, I'm not sure. So 3,325. Next, we have to do the 63,000. So that falls in this category right here. So I'm going to do this instead of on the spreadsheet. I'm going to do this on paper. So I'm going to take a screenshot of this category right here, because that's where the 63,500 falls in. So new page. So I'm now in this tax bracket. Oh, too big. Slow down there, Tiger. Okay. And we have a taxable income, let's see, of 63,000, or at least I do, 63,500. And so X here, remember, is what we called the taxable income the other day. So this here says if it's in this region, which it is, start off, you have to pay a tax. So I'm going to call that T equals 4,750 plus 25%, so 0.25 of the excess over 34,500. So then I'm going to have to do a times a subtraction. So my 63.5 minus the threshold of 34.5. And so run that through a calculator and see what we get. I'm going to throw that on my spreadsheet here. All right, so my taxable income is now 63500. And I have another step that I have to do here. So I want to know what is the difference of this from the 34,500. And I want to multiply that percent. So I'm getting the new total amount should be like 9,100, unless I screwed up my spreadsheet. So I'm going to type that into a regular calculator just to see. 4750 plus 0.25 times the difference of 63,500 minus 34,500. And Google says, ooh, I got a different number. I got 12,000 this time. Did I mess up my spreadsheet? Let's see. Oh, I did mess up my spreadsheet. There's my spreadsheet. I forgot to add all three numbers in my sum. I'm only adding the first two. Oh, come on. Ooh, that's a different number too. What did I do wrong? Let's see. Where's that problem? 10%, 15%, 25%. That looks right. Starting with 63,500 in the taxable income. Oh, this part's wrong. This is only eligible up to 34,000. I put too high a number there. So this is just equal to 34,500. And it's still a different number. Oh, yeah. In this column, I'm supposed to have the difference from the current tax bracket max to the previous one. So what did I forget to do? Subtract the 8,500 because I've already paid tax on that. All right, one more time. Third time's the charm. Minus 8,500. There we go, 12,000. Okay. So $12,000. Let's see, referring to part C, the total tax is what percent of his this person's income, and here we're referring to the taxable income. How would I calculate that? What percent he actually paid? Yeah, just take the 12,000 divided by the 63,500. So to zoom out a little here, so 12,000 divided by 63,500 tells me he paid about what to the nearest 0.1%? That would be to the nearest percent, nearest 0.1%. 18.9%, good, yeah. I know, I'm just messing with you.
So then it would be.
It would be 9, yeah, for this one, they want the nearest 1%, not 0.1%, so we would type 19% here. And submit. Woohoo, we're kicking butt. Last one, oh, this is a good one. So I am going to copy some of this into my screen. Okay, so back to our water footprint exercise we did a while back. So this is an exercise basically in order of operations and comparing units. So some things to note here to get this one right. Highlighted these. Yellow, is that too much to ask? Yep, oh, there we go. All right, so we're given the average right there of 2,483 cubic meters. Cubic meter is a big chunk of water per year. So year is important there. Down here, notice they have 2,500 all over the place, so they're just rounding that up right there. Yeah, but the big deal there, that's meters per year. So cubic meters per year. Family of 3 would like to reduce their water print so that it is 75% of the typical American's water footprint. Which calculation shows how they can estimate their target water footprint for 1 day? So we got to get rid of years and convert to days. And there could be more than one right answer. So I'm going to just bring out another piece of paper, then come back here. So we've got a water footprint of approximately 2,500 meters cubed per year. And we want to take it down to 75% of that. So a family of 3, so that they have 70% of. So 70% of just means times. So we definitely want 75% of this number. So we would multiply that by 0.75. Does the order we multiply those two matter? That could go either way. All right. Now, this is per year, though. They want to know what would their water footprint be per day. So we have to adjust for that. So what are we going to do? Are we going to multiply by 365 here or divide by 365? What do you think? Multiply or divide? Divide, yeah, because this is how much we use in a whole year. We want to ration that for each day. So that we want to break that into 365 chunks. Yeah, so we're going to have to then divide this by 365. So we're looking for calculations that do this with these numbers. Okay, so let's look back at our options and see which options might work here. Okay, the first one, something else to consider. This is for a typical American. What are we doing here? We're doing a whole family of 3, so we do have to take into consideration that. So what are we going to do with the 3? Multiply by it. Yeah, it would scale this up from 1 person to 3 people. Okay, so this one right here, is this one a candidate right there, the first one? Okay, we got a yes. I'm thinking it's not. Why not? Where's the 75%? It's inside the parentheses, and what are we doing with this parentheses? We're dividing, so technically that says divide by 365 and divide by 0.75. So here's another way to write this first one. That says take 2,500 and divide by 365 times 0.75. Then multiply by 3. Now, our calculation over here, the only thing I was missing was I forgot to multiply by 3. Is that right there? Are we dividing by the 0.75 here? Definitely not. So that one's out. All right. Can't be that one. How about the next one? They've got the times 3. That's good. They got the divide by 365. But here they're multiplying by 4/3. Is 4/3 0.75? No, 0.75 would be 3/4. Yeah, so this one's out because that number's wrong right there. How about the next one? Three people, 2,500 cubic meters per year.
That's right.
Take 75% of that, divide by 360. Yeah, that one's okay. That works. Next one. 3 people at 2,500, 3/4. That's good too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's good too. I think the next one's good too, isn't it? 3 people times 2,500, take 3/4 of that, divide by 365. That one's good. This one seems to be, next one seems to be missing the days in a year. So it's out, and that's missing the days in the year. So it looks like there's 3 correct options. And I think when you guys get it, those might be shuffled a little bit. Anyone have their version of this up right now? Are you shuffled or in the same order as mine? Different order? Yeah, so you gotta look through there and figure out which ones we identified there. And I forgot to mention this in class before. My videos all go onto my YouTube channel, which there's a link to. But I can also post my notes. So if there's ever a day you say, hey, I'd like your notes from that day, just ask and I can put them up. All right, let me check mine off, see if I won a prize. Let's see, no. That's a no. The next 3 are yeses. And those 2 are no's. Okay. Now we got another part here that's a little complicated. One thing a person can do to reduce his or her water footprint is to just use less water every day. And I think we calculated, like if you leave the faucet on while you brush your teeth, you lose several gallons of water a week. Not quite 2 cubic meters, that's a lot of gallons right there. But there's things we can do. Now just a note here, this is per day, right? And the 2,483 is per year. Okay, so with that in mind, let's see, how would you calculate the new annual water footprint? So how would we scale 2 cubic meters per day up to a year? You have to multiply by that. Now we're trying to reduce it, so I think this first one looks good. Take the average yearly and subtract the 2 meters per day times 365 days. That one's good. How about the next one? Yeah, same idea. This one's okay on mine, and yours are going to be in a different order, so be careful. Here it says subtract 2 from the 2,000. Does that make sense? No, that's the wrong order. That one's out. This one says divide the 2,000 by 365. That gives me a daily rate minus 2 cubic meters per day, then multiply by 365? No? I think that one works. I'm going to write that down on the board and show why I think it works. So they said to take the 24,883 and divide it by 365, and then subtract 2, and then multiply by 365. So I'm just going to rewrite this part right here as a fraction. 2483 over 365 minus 2, and then times 365. So we're going to do a little algebra. And I use the distributive property here. And multiply that in. The answer is yeah, this is the distributive property. So if I do that, I'm going to get this fraction, 2483 over 365 times 365 minus 2 times 365. Can anybody tell me something interesting about what I have left here? What's that?
You combine.
We can combine stuff, but first, before we combine,
Get rid of the minus.
the 365s divide out here because we're multiplying and dividing by the same number, so that goes away. So what I have is 2483 minus 2 cubic meters per day times 365 days. So that was a twisted version of the first thing on my list. So sometimes you just got to plug these into the calculator and see if it works. And the only way to know there's different order of operations is to give it a try. Where the heck is my homework? Oh gosh, we're out of time for fun with class. Darn it. All right, that one works. That one doesn't. That one doesn't. That one does. We just changed the order 2 times. And then, which of the following would cause the greatest decrease? I can't do that in overtime. It's too hard to think about. All right, so we are now officially 2 days behind the official calendar. Woo! That's okay. So I'll adjust due dates in Canvas so it doesn't look like we're behind anymore. If you haven't finished up the worksheet for 2-1, please get it to me as soon as possible. I'd prefer it today if you're done with it. Otherwise, I'd like it Monday. If you didn't start the prep for 2-2, please give that a shot, and we'll work on the prep and worksheet 2-2 in class on Monday. Have a fantastic weekend.